I played so many games this year. Fully transitioning to PC gaming not only meant playing a ton of my favorites in way better quality than ever before, but also, thanks to whoever the hell manages Steam sales, I could actually afford all of the games I was interested in. It's honestly been a great year for me, and the last 2 years have been great years for gaming. I didn't get around to everything I was hoping to play, but I did catch up on a lot, so let's do a top 10 list. I have always wanted to do a top 10 list. Oh my god, my top 10 loving inner teenage self is beaming right now, you have no idea. A quick note though, not every game on my list came out in 2023, hence the title, My Top 10 Games of 2023. I've been out of gaming for a few years, and I had some catching up to do. The only qualification for a game is that I had to have played it in 2023. Cool? Cool. Let's do this.
Orale! Time to brawl!
Yeah, I'm surprised about this one too. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 is just insanely fun. While the first game felt like it was trying and failing to be the next Melee, the sequel feels so much more like its own thing. This is the first non-Smash platform fighter I've checked out that really just clicks. Combos are complex, but simple and satisfying to craft and execute. The slime meter ends up not killing the flow of gameplay at all, which I totally expected it to. You can use meter to empower moves, break out of combos, or land a finishing special. The Smash comparison is obviously there. This game has break the targets after all. But despite how fun multiplayer battles are, the game mode that impressed me the most is the campaign. It's a roguelite where you slowly upgrade and expand your roster and every run ends with a boss fight, and there are a ton of bosses! This game really feels like it wanted to step up to the huge challenge of being the next popular platform fighter, with the obvious passion of the devs, the promotions of the game done by top Smash players. Whether you're interested in competitive play or just looking for a fun Smash-like game, Nazby 2 is a high recommendation from me.
Ghost Runner my ass!
Ghost Runner 2 came out this year after I played the first game earlier in the year, and that's the actual number 9 spot. Whoops. While I haven't gotten around to the sequel, I've heard good things, and it's not surprising because Ghost Runner rules. It's a first-person parkour ninja slashing cyberpunk-looking room full of enemies now find the most satisfying way to kill them kind of game, and oh my god is my jam. The game is packed full of interesting abilities and stacking mechanics that build to more and more complicated encounters, but has a lot of player freedom in both how you build those abilities and how you use them. You can focus on melee, movement, projectiles, there's a lot of player freedom here. This is the kind of game I feel like we don't get enough these days. It's a decently short story campaign only because it doesn't waste any time. The story is engaging because it's doled out while you're exploring and fighting. Honestly reminding me a lot of Portal 2 or Kid Icarus Uprising in this regard, and the visuals, god damn! How does a game sold at an indie price with no awful monetization look this good? My only complaints are the lackluster boss fights, and despite enjoying the story, it was pretty predictable. Still, I'm really looking forward to the sequel. I have a strong love for mascot horror as a genre. It's not often for me to walk away from one having not had a good time, either laughing at it for being maximum cringe, or genuinely loving the ride that they take you on. But after years of playing these types of games, I have never seen a game like Choo Choo Charles. What a ridiculous concept for a horror game. An open-world train simulator where your goal is to kill a big demon train named Charles. And the wildest part is how amazingly it works. Questlines are rewarding, combat is satisfying, progression is palpable, the game is loaded with detail, and Charles is fucking terrifying! Look at this guy! Above all, just exploring the world, the spooky atmosphere on the rainy nights as you chart your way on your train is an experience I didn't know I needed until this game. Even after 100%ing the game, sometimes I'll come back to it just to ride around for a while. As a project from one guy, the game definitely isn't perfect. The newly added Nightmare mode has Charles show up way too often, which destroys the game's tension and makes half of it hiding in houses, the game. The NPCs are a bit unfinished. The writing and voice acting are great. I love the Twin Peaks vibe this place has, but they often appear buggy and the lack of lip flaps is odd to me. Lastly, the game is pretty short, but for the price, I think it has a great amount of quality content and is really worth your time.
Hey, I know where you can find a Lombax.
If you have a PS5, Rift Apart has been around for a while, but for me, it came out this year on Steam, and I was beyond excited. I played the heck out of the Ratchet & Clank reboot on PS4, and I was so excited for this one. I don't often go for the $60 AAA game, but this time I didn't have to, as the game was lovingly gifted to me. You know who you are, and you get a kiss on the forehead. Mwah. This might technically be the prettiest game on this list. Insomniac is known for their gorgeous worlds and set pieces, as well as having a ton of super unique weapons to use. The detail on all of this is just, oh my god. I find a lot of people point to the combat as the best parts of these games, and while I agree it's super fun, the thing I was enjoying most in Rift Apart was how each world gives you some new, amazing mobility option. You get a rift jump and a grapple hook, a wall run, and these hover boots are literally the best thing ever to control. Some of the sequences towards the end of the game that chain all these together are just pure gamer dopamine dumped directly on your silly little button-mashing gamer brain, and the times you get to use these during combat are also pure joy. While these games usually have a ton of variety, usually too much, you'll be happy to hear that Rift Apart drops all of that to focus on the parts of the game that are actually fun. I can't believe I have to point this out as a positive, but if you played games from this series, you know what I mean. The story is cute, I think. If you want to understand anything that's going on, you need to be tuned in, because despite some of these scenes outstaying their welcome, entire plot points can last a couple lines, so if you're streaming and glance at chat, as I was, or you're chatting with a friend while playing, there might as well not be a story for you. Still, Girl Lombax and Yellow Clank are cute, and I like them. It's not a masterpiece, but Sony really knows how to put out a high-budget banger that feels worth the price. Pretend you didn't see this one coming, though I'm sure you might be more surprised by how low on the list it is. Tears of the Kingdom is a jaw-dropping game. The commitment to detail, the refining of ideas from Breath of the Wild, and the insane possibilities within this world are both mind-boggling and, at least for me, soured quite a lot by the game's many shortcomings. Shrine puzzles are way more complex and interesting than ever, if you don't pack a rocket shield or use a recall elevator to skip basically all of it. Classic dungeons are back! Kinda. I mean, no, you can't go in the dungeon yet, obviously. You haven't progressed the region's story that far. Yep, step away from the ride, please wait your turn. The story is so much more engaging. So long as you find the parts in the right order, otherwise you're gonna be really confused until you do. Don't worry though, this really basic part about how the sages lost to Ganondorf is at the end of every dungeon. Yes, every dungeon. You also get a reward for these dungeons, followers. In case you didn't enjoy doing combat yourself and wanted to fumble around trying to use abilities during said combat? Or how about a mech? This game, at least to me, is far more flawed than Breath of the Wild ever was. But a worse Breath of the Wild is still an amazing game. The amount of content in this single game is staggering. You have basically 3 entire worlds to explore. The sky has so many interesting things that beg you to find out more. You've got cubes and spheres and even cubes. The underground is one of my favorite areas from an aesthetic perspective, and the game honestly peaked for me in the first few hours, battling my way down there to see the final boss before I had barely even gotten the paraglider back. Along with its great world design and a deeper story, comes a soundtrack the likes of which we haven't had in a while. Breath of the Wild's mostly ambient score gives it much of its personality, but the impact of the now returning, sweeping orchestras and powerful, engaging score cannot be overstated. When the final boss theme sounds like it's out of Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which has my favorite game score of all time, someone has done something very right. There are more quests, more enemies and bosses. I can't even go into how many new mechanics. Fuse letting you basically craft and combine whatever items you want. Ultra Hand letting you build literally anything you can dream of. Ascend might be finicky, but it grants you so much freedom with how you plan and move around the world. It's honestly my favorite and a little underrated in my eyes. I killed a Gleeok really early on with this rune alone. I could go on, but do I really need to? This was my most anticipated game of the year, and even though it didn't end up being a game I loved to pieces, it was still a great time. Not much of what new it tried worked for me, but not every game is for everyone. I can appreciate this game a lot more than I like it, and I already like it a whole lot. On the flip side, let's talk about a game made just for me. I don't usually go for fan games, but Touhou Luna Nights is just so good. A beautiful love letter to both Touhou 6 and Metroidvanias as a whole, this game is the complete package. The way the game utilizes the stopping of time, not just to avoid attacks and make your own, but also to control and manage your resources, is so inspired. It makes every combat encounter feel tactical. Especially the boss fights, seriously, these are so fun. The sprite work here is on point, and the soundtrack, oh, the soundtrack! The story is simple and entertaining with some great fan service for those who love the original game, and an entire extra area and 2 bosses even after the credits roll. And that very final secret boss, yeah, that's some good shit right there. Nothing here is groundbreaking, but if you love Metroidvanias, this is a solid experience and a great gateway into Touhou. If you are a fan of Touhou, especially Touhou 6, don't sleep on this one. It's a certified banger.
You will witness true horror.
Elden Ring is my first FromSoft experience. Not really. I played a few hours of Dark Souls, didn't like it. A few hours of Bloodborne, got lost, didn't like it. I actually did play Elden Ring for a few hours in 2022. I've broken my rules. Didn't like it. And yet, I couldn't escape the feeling that I was missing out with these games. Atmosphere is so critical to my enjoyment of a game, and I love a tough-as-nails experience, but these games just really struggled to hook me. So I said screw it, I'm gonna sit back down with Elden Ring and play this game until it clicked or I die. And then I died a lot. And then it clicked. And then it unclicked, and then I played it a second time, and then it clicked again. Elden Ring is one hell of a video game. And like every huge open world game, a hell of a video game with a lot of issues. Though for this game, most of them are pretty small in my eyes. Item pop-ups that force you to dismiss the prompt are everywhere and totally unnecessary. Floor effects like poison and fire are visually unclear and lead to unfair deaths. Rune drop amounts are a complete joke and make fighting certain enemies feel worthless. The game has a lot of repetitive content if you're trying to find all the things that you want without a guide. Every menu in this game was designed by a complete psycho. Seriously, why are these so overly messy and complicated? The endgame difficulty spike has bosses two-shotting you with basically every hit. The weapon and spell balancing just... yeah. It is not a perfect game. And yet, I love Elden Ring. This game has some of the most enchanting and awe-inspiring environments. Raya Lucaria, Deeproot Depths, and the Eternal City of Nokron are some of my favorite locations in all of gaming now. Seeing Mohg's Arena from my early hours made traveling to that endgame area so much more satisfying. The boss fights in this game are amazing. Not all of them, but when a boss fight slaps, it hardly matters how many times you die. My absolute favorites were Big Deer, Big Wolf, Bloody Man, Star Swinger, Elden Boy, and Moon Lady. As you can see, I'm very up to date on the lore of the Lands Between. I think the best part about finishing Elden Ring, twice, is that I feel ready to take on those games in the past that stumped me, and really get to appreciate what this studio and these games have done for the industry. I can't wait to see what they make next. Who knows? They might even hire playtesters next time. Everhood is a game that, like the one that inspired it most, I went into knowing next to nothing about. Yes, the game wears its Undertale inspiration on its sleeve and prepares you for an experience quite unlike the one it really delivers. This game isn't an RPG so much as a rhythm action game, with an RPG-like world, a cast of likable characters, and an unraveling plot that goes a lot of places I really didn't expect it to. As you might expect from a game like Undertale with a focus on rhythm, the soundtrack is straight fire. Feisty Flowers might just be my song of the year. can tell a lot of different people pitched into this project, but it all still feels cohesive, which is a great accomplishment. You'll be rewarded with new tracks up to and past the credits, as this game features a lot of bonus content and rewards for repeat playthroughs. All that said, this is not a game for everyone. The controls took me until my second hitless playthrough to really get a handle on. The general vibe and characters I can see being hit or miss for some people, and the story deals with some really heavy stuff. I'm hesitating to say much on the story as words really aren't going to do it justice, and it doesn't have a masterpiece plot or anything, but if you are at all interested in the ideas of immortality, existentialism, and morality, this game is going to make you think. It's going to make you upset, and it's going to be very much worth your time. I have a grave confession to make to you all, and this isn't going to be easy. I am a Sonic fan. All I've ever wanted in life was just a fun, high-speed 3D platformer. And sure, the adventure games have that at times. Unleashed can be pretty fun, and Frontiers is a video game, I think. I guess it's time to go replay Sonic Colors to get my fix. Oh, wait, what is this? Spark the Electric Jester 3 is a miracle of a video game. Every doofus spouting the line, "Sonic can't work in 3D," shut up. Shut up, play this game, and weep at how wrong you are. Gameplay variety with a combo-weaving combat system, score-chasing mechanics, high-speed platforming, and fun vehicle sections, a Mega Man meets Sonic art style that feels all its own, a kickin' soundtrack, completely nuts story, fluid controls, multiple unlockable characters, a dozen bonus levels after the credits. What is this? Am I dreaming? I won't lie, my first playthrough of this game, I thought it was really good, but nothing groundbreaking. But as I went back for 100% completion, this game only got better and continued to surprise me. These levels that you'll blitz through on your first playthrough are massive. They put these open zones to shame. There are so many hidden areas, exploration medals to collect, basically no invisible walls, and discovering this while going for score medals was a complete shock. I wish I could convey to you how perfectly this game controls. I have never felt so free in a 3D space in any game. All of the worlds you explore are so interesting, the final level, no spoilers, but the atmosphere throughout the entire thing is off the charts. I used to think the reason Sonic was so tortured is that high-speed 3D gameplay is just inherently finicky or buggy, despite being tons of fun when done well. No, I did not experience a single bug. Plenty of sections felt like I was breaking them. There's a huge level towards the end where you're traveling down a lot, and the game doesn't have death planes, so if you manage your dashes and jumps, you can skip huge chunks, and it feels incredible. Honestly, this game needs a video all its own from me because I could keep going like this forever. If you're looking for a killer 3D platformer, Spark 3's got just what you need. I can't wait to see what this developer does next. When I think of some of my favorite games of all time, the ones I hold closer to my heart than any others, most of them are ones I played during or before high school. This is partly me falling out of games during college, but I had begun to think that perhaps the connection was just hard to form again after so many years of playing. It's hard to find the words when you feel that strongly about a piece of art. Where do you even start? I'm not sure, but I'll try. Little Nightmares is a video game made just for me and no one else. It is just as charming as it is horrifying, just as gorgeous as it is disgusting, and I love that so much. The world of the mall has enchanted me more than any other in recent memory. The atmosphere and visual storytelling are some of the best in any game I've ever played. This game doesn't have an ounce of fat on it. It is a condensed, focused experience in which each chapter is better than the last. Each set piece tops the one before it until the finale when it all just comes together. I adore the way this game concludes. It was unexpected, shocking, and perfect. And perfect is not a word I throw around often, believe me. I'm sure I'm overhyping this game for anyone yet to enjoy it. This is another game I could dedicate an entire video to, and maybe one day I will. I guess all I really want to convey at this time is what a huge impact this experience left on me. I've greatly enjoyed games similar to Little Nightmares. It shares a lot in common with Playdead games like Limbo and Inside, but something here clicked just the right way at just the right time. And isn't that the story we always tell about our favorites? As of right now, Little Nightmares 2 is in my library and 3 is on the way. I'm cautiously optimistic to play both of them, but the Secrets of the Mall DLC for the first game was fairly enjoyable, and I've obviously got a lot of goodwill for this team's capabilities. But for now, Little Nightmares was my favorite game I played in 2023, and one of my favorites of all time. Well, that's the video. It's like the first YouTube video I've ever made. Huzzah! Oh, wait, there's just one more thing I've always wanted to do. Remember to like, comment, and no, wait, come back.